coming up on today's Swim episode.
What's your budget? Like how much you're going to spend on the recordings. You have to look at that. So, definitely in the beginning, you have to think about all these different, because basically what I do is when someone says I'm starting a label, I'd say, okay, well, tell me about what kind of deals you want to offer. And then I'll sort of ask a bunch of questions and then draft the contract based on their responses. You're going to need that. You're going to need producer contracts. You're going to need.
This is Swim, Success with Music. Yo, what up, music fam? This is Walt, and you are listening to the Swim podcast that stands for Success with Music. This is a podcast for singers, songwriters, beat makers, music students, creatives. Yo, we are about the music life. Hey, I appreciate you listening to the podcast as always, and most likely you are listening because you caught us on the previous episode, which was episode 65. We had the amazing Kamal Moo, music and entertainment attorney on, and he was dropping some amazing knowledge. Well, guess what? Today we're up to episode number 66, and this is part 2. In the final part, with our interview with Kamal Moo, you are going to learn even more about legal matters, protecting yourself, and going to the next level as a music professional. So yeah, man, we're going to pick up on that in just a moment. All right, guys, we're moments from getting back into our discussion with Kamal Moo about the music business and legal matters that affect your career. Hey, quick note, and we talked about this last week. This will be going away very soon. What is that? That is the free access to the Master Melody course. So that is our special online class that we have that you can enroll in virtually and learn about how to create an amazing melody for your next song. Again, it's completely free. All you need to do is sign up with your email address at our website. There's going to be a pop-up box when you go to our site. Go ahead and put your email address there, and we will reach you for access to our free Master Melody course. Our website is successwithmusic.com. Again, that's successwithmusic.com. Check it out right now. Believe me, it is going away. And I've seen that some of you guys have already signed up. Thank you. You will be getting your invitation to join very soon. All right. And with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and pick up our conversation with Kamal. As before, please know that even though Kamal is a legal professional, he's an attorney, he knows what he's talking about, today's episode does not constitute legal advice. Kamal's not your lawyer, but if you want to reach out to him, you will hear how to do that at the end of the show. He can give you legal advice, but today, this show is meant for informative purposes, not legal counsel. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that, and that's our disclaimer. All right, so let's get to the show. And let's keep going here. So, and again, for the audience, I really want you to check out the straightforward guide to the music biz. Again, we're speaking with Kamal Moo, and that's Kamal, last name Moo. Check this book out. Kamal, is this book available on Amazon?
Yep, you can get it on Amazon. It's available there on paperback, and then it's on ebook on Apple Books and on Amazon as well, and a bunch of other outlets in the too.
Got it. Yeah, and as I'm looking over this book, I'm telling you, musicians, this is an absolute must-have. It's a very short book, so you're not going to be reading like some huge, long War and Peace book. You can get through this very easily, and I'm looking at the subjects that we're going through today, and even more, you have to get this book, seriously. He's dropping knowledge now, but I'm telling you, I'm looking at some of the things that's here. He's talking about synchronization. He's talking about music publishing, a whole bunch of stuff. Please grab this book. You will not regret it. Kamal, I know your time is short here, so I want to get through a few more things here as I kind of look around in some of the subjects of the book here. Let's talk about the major one here. And we've already kind of touched on it just a bit, but I want to go back to it so we can go at it head on. I am an artist. I am trying to get a deal with a major label. Let's say that day comes. Let's say, I'm contacted by an A&R rep or someone representing a major label. They're showing interest in my work. what do I do at that point? Because for most of us, that would be a brand new experience. Do I call you? Do I wait? What happens typically when artists are at the point of making it to that next level?
Well, and definitely, as I mentioned in the beginning, like if you're offered any kind of contract, get a good lawyer. Get a lawyer that's going to get in there for you and represent your interests. I think that's really important because I've seen it too many times where artists and have just gotten in there and signed whatever's put in front of them, and it was a horrible deal. And then they bring it to me later, and I'm like, well, you're already in this deal. There's really not much you can do. Unless you try and negotiate your way out of it, like negotiate a termination, or if you think they breached it, you try and sue them. But of course, that's really expensive and time consuming. So I'd say definitely get a good lawyer. I always say that a good lawyer is kind of a teacher. Also, it's going to walk you through the various aspects of the contract so that you'll understand what's going on. I have some clients who I've gone line by line through the contract with them because they want to know every single nook and cranny of what's in there. And that's fine. I mean, I'm willing to do that. So that's something to consider, that you need good legal representation. And I think that's the first thing. Now, of course, if you have a manager as well who's reputable, who's got good connections, who knows the label, then, of course, that's cool because then they can sort of help on the business side and sort of negotiate with them as well. Then you sort of have your lawyer working on the legal side. You have the manager working kind of, with A&R people trying to go back and forth. And then you sort of have your team working on it. But in any case, always get a good lawyer. That's just, that's number one.
Sure. And let me jump in real fast with a clarification, right? Because some people in our audience, they may hear what you're saying and thinking, okay, or my dad, my mom, they have an attorney. This person did the will for our family, or they help us sell some land or what have you. When you say lawyer, can I just get any kind of lawyer?
No.
Like the lawyer in my hometown?
No, get someone who specializes in entertainment law and music law. Because it's just, there's so many areas of law out there. Just because someone is competent in one area doesn't mean they're competent in another. For example, if sometimes I'll have clients who have some immigration issues. I know nothing about immigration law, so I'll send that to another lawyer because I'm not competent in that area. Or the one thing I always tell people is you wouldn't go to a foot doctor for heart surgery, right? Like you go to someone who specializes in that area. So definitely talk to a music attorney specifically.
Got it. Okay, cool. And so let's go on the opposite side of it, right? And I want to kind of flip things. I've been talking about some of us breaking into, the next level of the music industry, working with some major labels or some renowned, entertainment organizations. What if I am trying to start my own operation? Let's say I want to be my own record label, my own indie label. What are some things that you would advise? Let's say I'm trying to create maybe some smaller agreements with artists and with producers and things like that. How does that work in terms of when do I get you involved? Let's say, again, I'm drafting agreements for songwriters or producers and things like that. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of clients who have indie labels, so I'm very familiar with that. I think that, the moment you decide to start a record label, you should talk to a lawyer. There's actually a section in the book called, I'm starting an indie label, now what? And I think it's just, you have to sort of look at a lot of different aspects. You have to look at, okay, what kind of deals do you want to offer your artists? Like, what do you want the terms to be? How many albums do you want to obligate them to? Usually it's like one album plus options for two more. What's your budget? Like how much are you going to spend on the recordings? You have to look at that. So, definitely in the beginning, you have to think about all these different, because basically what I do is when someone says I'm starting a label, I'd say, okay, well, tell me about what kind of deals you want to offer. And then I'll sort of ask a bunch of questions and then draft the contract based on their responses. You're going to need that. You're going to need producer contracts. You're going to need work for hire agreements for, let's say you're bringing in musicians to play like guitarists and, background singers and stuff. I mean, like I mentioned, if you don't, the default view of copyright law is that if two more people create a copyrightable work, they're all equal co-owners. So every guitarist, background singer, they need to sign work for hire agreements to sign the rights to your label. You need mechanical licenses from the people who are licensing you the songs as well, so who are writing for you. So those are all different things that need to be considered and thought about. Another thing too is I would highly recommend that a good label needs to have what are called label services or A&R administration. And what they'll do is they'll make sure all the ISRC codes are properly embedded in the metadata for places so that you can track all the plays through Spotify and whatever. You can make sure everything is registered properly with Sound Exchange. So there's a lot of logistical things that need to happen when you're starting a label. There's a lot of, I call it like the unsexy side of the music industry, because it's not that fun or interesting, because, people just want to get in there and make music. But I think as a label owner, you really have to devote time to the legal side and the administrative side if you want to be successful. And that's really, so on the ground floor, you should at least have a good lawyer on your side who can sort of walk you through those things.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And that makes sense. And it seems like from what I'm hearing from you that there are a lot of systems that need to be set up, especially legal systems with the agreements with those who are participating, so that obviously everyone is protected all the way around. So it's not a matter of just setting up music and then putting it out on the internet and calling yourself a label. It seems like there's a lot more structure and organization that has to go into, creating a platform to where things are working sensibly, consistently, and of course, in a way that meets the needs of those who are participating. Now, you mentioned something, and sorry, my mind sometimes will chase these little rabbits here as folks are talking, but you talked about work for hire. I've personally come across this a lot in my career, but I want to bring that out just a bit more, given how much we talked about copyrights at the beginning. So let's say I'm working on a song, and I am the sole songwriter, but I really want to throw some guitar on this song to maybe pitch the song to a label. So as I'm putting together my demo, I really want to just make this demo shine. So I have this song, but I have my friend, he plays guitar, he comes in and, he's doing all kinds of things and making recommendations. I really don't want to share my songwriting with him. He's just participating as a guitarist, but he's given me some great ideas. Where does work for hire come into play?
Right. So typically, what happens is, let's say that, remember there's the composition and the sound recording. When you hire a guitarist to come in, of course, to play on the sound recording, you're going to want to work for hire from them, granting you the rights in the sound recording so that, their contributions, become yours. You own those. Now, on the songwriting side, it gets a little bit more complicated, because usually what happens is if people collaborate on the songwriting as well on the composition side, then they usually divide ownership amongst them, which is different from the sound recording, right? It's a different approach. In that case, you could also try and just buy out his rights. If he's just making ideas and advising you, right? It depends, is he writing? Is he actually writing melodies? Is he writing lyrics? Then you can just say, well, as part of the work for hire, I'm going to want to buy out all your songwriting as well, or at least the advice you gave me, just to avoid problems down the road. So that's really a product of bargaining and seeing if they're okay with that. Basically, he's kind of a ghostwriter at that point, right? Like, you just kind of paid him to come in and sort of help out, but that's sort of it.
Okay. Yeah, I brought that up because I know that sometimes people will come in and make small contributions, meaning, hey, why don't you just change that one note or just do this or just do that? And I know that a lot of us who are creating the song, we may take that advice like, oh, that's a great idea, but we're not seeing it as this person wrote the song or co-wrote the song and nowhere near having 50% input. It's just like, okay, I'll go up, a half step versus a whole step on this particular pattern.
Right.
That's not a major thing, but if that song blows up, you could have someone saying, hey, man, I actually helped write that verse, or I gave you that melody. And I was just trying to figure out, do I create an agreement with someone to make sure that never even is a thing? Because their contributions were very small.
Yeah, and that becomes tricky, right? Because then it's like, how much is worth something, and then it becomes, if it goes to court, then it's a whole legal part. Well, I changed this one note, so it changed the whole structure of the melody, and so it turns into, it's tough, and that's why I'm saying, like, it's good to negotiate that stuff ahead of time. Like, at least let it be known to the guitarist, hey, look, if you're coming in and you're going to make any suggestions, I'm going to own what you do there, because I just want you to come in and play the music that I give you. I don't want you to make suggestions, or if you do that you're kind of just giving those to me, basically. So otherwise, if you're saying, oh, I want you to come in, play guitar on this, I don't know what I want for the guitar part, so you come up with that, and then I'll give you a piece of the composition. That's another approach too. So you have to kind of understand like what their role is going to be coming in.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. All right. I know we're getting low on time here, but I want to tackle just a couple of more areas, if you don't mind, before we get out of here today. And I'm seeing another area that looks amazing here in the book. And you talk about producers, right? Because I know that a lot of people out in our audience, they're producers. Walk me through the producer side of things, meaning, actually, let me not try to define it. How about you